So Pierre Poilievre has threatened Jagmeet Singh during a live interview. Donald Trump isn't going to jail, at least not before the election. He's going to have a fair go at the election, according to a judge. And then Justin Trudeau's campaign manager has completely jumped ship. But above and beyond all of those things, I have to ask you, do I really have a gray hair right here? I see it in my camera and I'm kind of freaking out, and I don't want to, it's not fair. What the hell's going on? Why am I getting older so fast now that I have kids? Gray hair, I'm 30. Is the news that stressful? The answer is yeah, absolutely. It's stressful. I may be 30, but I feel like I am aging to be 40 or 45 with how much news is happening and how fast it's happening. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage everyone to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. As you can all see, we are well past 400,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. And we are on route for 500,000, which I feel like I'm dreaming when I say those numbers, but that is the reality and we're making it work. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So you have the polls here. Justin Trudeau is still sitting at 81 projected seats. Pierre Poilievre of the Conservative Party at 210 projected seats. Those will update sometime soon, and you're going to see Pierre go up, is my belief. And then 99% likely across the board for the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre for winning the most seats and odds of a majority government. And where's oh, is that Justin Trudeau, Liberals, and the NDP? Let me zoom in here. Does that say 1%? Oh, it does. Okay. That's just such a small number, and these guys do these large talking points that I thought maybe they had a bit more of a fighting chance, but it turns out that they don't. Now let's take a look at a little bit of international news. So you have a judge delays the Trump sentencing until after the election. That's mighty kind of you, Judge. Let's take a quick look at this.
The judge says he's not influenced by political considerations. So having said that, I don't know which way it cuts. If he sends the former president to jail, and as you said, you raised this issue with Bond and making it go away on the former president's part, but it would actually potentially help Donald Trump and garner sympathy and attention to him. So it kind of seems to cut both ways, doesn't it?
I absolutely believe you're right. We have seen what the effect was of the 4 indictments. It had actually, as you know, an energizing effect on the former president in terms of campaign contributions and poll rankings. And so I think there would be a terrible reaction to this. And I think it's probably more likely that that he will allow him, Judge Merchan will allow former President Trump to be out on bail. It would be an incredibly lawless decision for him to order, to both impose a prison sentence and order him to go to jail. It would certainly, even in New York State, be overruled pretty quickly. Again, Alvin Bragg did not need to have this problem. He did not have to put former presidential advisors on the stand. But that created an immunity issue, an issue of presidential immunity that can't be ignored in light of the Supreme Court opinion. And I'll tell you something else. Trump's lawyers asked to litigate these immunity issues pre-trial because they knew there were going to be an issue. And at Bragg's urging, Judge Merchan refused to do that. So
we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out, but I'd love to pass the question off to you. How do you feel about this? You think Trump is going to win the next election, or do you think Camilla will? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And then in other American news, you have Russia is going after Tim Pool and other creators, but not before Tim Pool has been contacted by the FBI for a potentially being a victim of a crime. The FBI believes he's informed, has information about relevant to an ongoing criminal investigation and has requested a voluntary interview. He'll be offering his assistance in that manner. And that tweet or that post on X has over 5.2 million views. And this is all coming at the same time as this whole Russia psyop thing is kind of breaking waves across the internet. So a bunch of creators, a bunch of media outlets sort of go hand in hand with this Russia propaganda outlet, or a Russia paid media outlet called Tenet Media. And apparently, according to the Beaverton, I don't know if it's a real media outlet or not, says Ezra Levant is furious to discover that he could have been getting money from Russia this whole time. So in a video that Tim Pool recently released, or maybe it was previously released, was that Russia pays a bunch of AdSense money on YouTube to creators to push a certain narrative. So if you're getting a massive amount of money covering a certain topic, such as the war in Ukraine, and maybe shitting on Ukraine is very monetarily profitable, then it turns out that when you look behind the cloak, that Russia has been behind propping up that AdSense to make it more profitable, to incentivize people to talk more about it, which isn't really something that I ever considered. And also, that's a very risky and dangerous game to play. But there's also an immense amount of repercussions that are happening, such as right here. YouTube terminates Lauren Chen and Tenet Media's channel. Tenet Media has been at the center of this whole Russia propaganda, stuff like that. And we're going to have to wait and see how that does play out. But you've had members on X, such as like Dean Blundell in Canada, that are claiming to be blowing the lid off of this whole thing, and saying that Pierre Poilievre is next and he's paid by Russia, which I just don't see really. I mean, Pierre's been pretty anti-Russia and very pro-Ukraine. Last time I checked, Pierre Poilievre actually thinks that Canada is not spending enough on Ukraine. We should be, according to Pierre, spending more ammo, more tools, more money, more troops, which is something that a lot of people here in Canada don't agree with, because how about we work on Slava Kanadia instead of Slava Ukraini? That seems to be a nationalist mentality, but I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Next up, you have some people here in Canada, in Manitoba, that took a selfie with Justin Trudeau, sticking up the middle finger. I don't know what they're sticking up the middle finger at. I can only assume it's Justin Trudeau. I think a lot of people here, if they had the opportunity to take a selfie with Trudeau, would be doing something pretty similar to that. Then you have JJ McCullough, who's a big Canadian creator in the politics niche here in Canada, saying, hot tip for understanding Canadian politics: the NDP is run by people with terrible political instincts, and that's why they're in the NDP. I mean, honestly, who is like, you know, that party that never comes close to winning a national election? That's the party for me, which is so surprising why Jagmeet cut off this coalition, but he's only flirting with the idea of, you know, doing a vote of no confidence, which would then trigger an election. If you really want to stick it to Trudeau, call an election. But for some reason, Jagmeet Singh is under the immense amount of delusion that he can win some form of election, which, according to the polls, where is he right there? Okay, so even with a projected potential coalition, Liberal and the Bloc, 115 seats. Liberal and NDP, 97 seats. And when we look at the bottom line of Pierre Poilievre's low end of his seats, the projections at least, you have 179 seats, which is still well above what he needs for a majority government. So Jagmeet Singh isn't even a contender. Like, he's not even a player. It might as well be me going around saying, I'm going to be Canada's next prime minister. It's so far from reality, but that's where Jagmeet is. He has somehow convinced people to vote for him. Very few people, albeit, but still some people are out there voting for him and think that he's the man for the job. And as they say in the South, bless your heart. Then you have BC weather is showing that we're all going to melt. I don't know. People are concerned, though. BC, are you okay? Sizzling heat is what we are being told. Let's take a look at this weather video.
Start to September across southern BC.
Oh, that looks bad.
Because of the reinforcement of a ridge of high pressure, that's bringing in very hot and humid conditions across the region. That's going to last for a couple of days. Let's take a look at what the humidex conditions are going to be feeling like on Thursday. As I mentioned.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Can you see that? Lows of mid 20s and highs of 30s. Oh my goodness. I think we might actually be able to enjoy a elongated summer. Oof. Maybe it's not time to put away your air conditioners just yet, but us melting and sizzling heat is not really in the projections. But nice try, weather person. No one is falling for that. And then you have Mark Slapinski on X saying Pierre Poilievre just vowed to deport millions of illegal immigrants, including Muslims, if he wins the next election. How do you feel about this policy? Now, I clicked on this article right here, the first one, and the Conservative MP it calls for mass deportation of illegal immigrants. Conservative MP Tom is calling for mass deportations. Almost 15,000 illegal immigrants were served with deportation letters since 2016. Yet only a small percentage of them have actually left the country, as reported by the Globe and Mail. Some estimates place the number of illegal immigrants in Canada at 600,000. Due to the lack of enforcement, a large percentage of these people have been able to work and live freely in this country for years. And then a person found to be illegally in Canada and being placed on deportation lists should be prioritized for removal, says the Conservative MP, as stated in the House of Commons. Lack of enforcement like this contributes to the growing uncertainty and drop in support on the historic immigration consensus across all parties. This is absolutely insane. Never in my life, never in a million years have I ever imagined a government that wouldn't prioritize securing our nation, our citizens, and making sure that we are actually deporting illegal immigrants. But for some reason, it's just thrown under the rug, as in it's not really that big of a deal. Right? It doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, you have crime rampant through the streets, almost 1 million illegal immigrants running around, having jobs under the table. I don't know where are they living. They obviously can't get bank accounts, so I don't know how they're surviving. And you have a progressive liberal government, and even the NDP have previously stated, if I am not mistaken, that they should be celebrated and that we should be giving citizenship to illegal immigrants as a reward for, hey, you've made it, you've slipped through the cracks, here's your passport, here's your citizenship, and welcome to our country. Please don't tell other people. That just seems like a wrong way to manage a country, but what do I know? I'd love to know, though, what you guys think down below in the comments. And then you have another post here on X by Table Salt sharing a screenshot of the Financial Times. Justin Trudeau retreats from Canada's liberal immigration regime. Justin Trudeau this week moved to quell a public backlash to one of the world's most progressive migration policies by rolling back on Canada's foreign worker scheme. Trailing in polls ahead of an election next year, the Prime Minister announced measures to slash the number of new arrivals. But executives worry the measures will curb their supply of cheap labor. In other words, modern slavery. And oh no, modern slavery seems to be a liberal thing that they've created, and now they're against it, and you have big corporations that are worried about it. Yeah, you can't make this up, but this is the world that we live in. I'd love to know what you guys think about that topic. And then just to trigger everybody, including myself, you have teachers and staff at an Ontario Catholic school board secretly encouraged an 11-year-old girl to believe that she was a boy without their parents' knowledge, and called child services on the couple, the parents, when they objected the gender transition. This is the scary thing about Canada. These stories are real. It's freaking frightening, man. It's frightening. And my kids they're young, right? My daughter is turning 2 in a couple of months, and it's just very worrisome that this is what is happening in the education system, right? I don't personally feel comfortable with my kids going into that education system. I feel like maybe homeschooling is an option. I know a lot of people that watch this channel, I've seen it in the comments in the past, say that I should homeschool, but I'll pass the question off to you. Should I homeschool? Have you homeschooled? What are your experiences with the current education system? And if you prefer homeschooling, let me know what you guys think. And then you have Justin Trudeau is at TIFF taking selfies with people. Now, originally this was posted by just a user, not a political anyone, just like a regular person, right? And the tweet blew up. Got over 500,000 views. Now, I somehow walked away with the top comment here saying, is he up for an award for the shittiest prime minister? The comments have since been blocked, and then you can't reply unless you are followed by this member, but Justin Trudeau going to TIFF. So he actually went and gave a speech to the TIFF volunteers on acting. Now, Justin Trudeau is a world-renowned actor. Somehow he's convinced part of a country that he is fit to be prime minister, even though he has no political experience other than his father being prime minister, and his actual education is in acting. He's deserving of an award. Shittiest prime minister is definitely one of the awards that he's deserving of, but I'd love to know if you guys have any other witty comments for awards that Trudeau could be eligible for. Let's take a look at him talking to the volunteers here.
This is one of those moments where it's not just about Toronto, although of course it is, showcasing the very best of the city, but it's about Canada welcoming the world here and talking about the stories that we have to share and that the world wants to share with each other. What better?
He looks like he's belongs in the arts. You know what I'm saying? Like his stance. And look, that's not against anyone who stands that way. It's not against anyone who is, LGBTQSI plus. I mean, he just carries a demeanor that is not powerful. It's not, hey, follow me because I'm a good leader. It's yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm thinking?
A place to do it in this extraordinary city that is the most multicultural city in the world. One of the places where the values, the approach, the sense of what we are celebrating throughout, what we're challenging ourselves throughout, what we're coming together to share as audiences in theaters, having similar experiences with particular approaches to it. This is about community coming together and creating itself through art and culture, and your dedication to making it happen, to making people feel welcome, to making everyone feel like this is a place that they need to be and are welcome to be, and can dream big about what they want for the future.
So he doesn't look very good. He looks like he's lost a tremendous amount of weight in a unhealthy fashion. It certainly hasn't been replaced by muscle. And also, I think people are very fed up with the condescending way that he talks to people. He's always got his hands in his pockets. He's always shrugging his shoulders, going, oh, yeah, this is how it is, and blah, 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 blah. And it's just not how a leader should represent themselves. I mean, if you're just on the street talking to somebody at a bus stop or passing at, waiting for food or whatever it is, and someone's got their hands in their pockets, yeah, that makes sense, right? Condescending tone, you don't know each other, who cares? But you're the prime minister of a country, and you would feel like he would be able to give a bit more of an example on how to carry yourself properly. But of course, that's part of, maybe this is why his campaign manager has since left him, because Justin Trudeau maybe just isn't listening to the campaign manager's points. But that's what we're going to get into right now in the CTV video here. The Liberal National Campaign Director says he will step down. Oh my God, you can't make this up. Everybody's left Justin Trudeau. He's been divorced. His boyfriend has left, and now his manager has left. Everybody is divorcing Justin Trudeau, except the people that want to. The 41 million Canadians that legitimately want a divorce with Justin Trudeau, they're not getting it. Everyone else gets to leave him except us. It's not fair. All right, let's take a look at this.
TV News political commentator Scott Reid, he joins us now. Scott, first tell us about Mr. Broadhurst. Who is he? How integral is he to the party's sort of inner workings?
He's an important piece of the machinery. He's been involved in the party for 20 years, at least 15 years, and he's been involved in a senior capacity for the Trudeau operation and the Trudeau government, since its inception. So, he's a significant player.
Okay, so what are you hearing from other Liberals about the timing of his departure?
It has less to do with the fact that he's leaving, because frankly, there are people that can step in and fulfill that role. It's not like it's an indispensability. It's more about how strangely it was managed. I mean, yesterday you knew, if you're the PMO, that the NDP were withdrawing from the deal. You knew that was going to be national news. You knew that was a matter you were going to have to manage. And you knew at the same time that leaks and word of this departure of Jeremy Broadhurst was starting to leak out. And they didn't manage it. They did not say, all right, well, let's have a statement. Let's issue a statement. Let's deal with it. They just tried to kind of shuffle it over into the corner. And that obviously blew up on them. And so now we're talking about it here on the national news. So this should not be a national news story, but it's become a national news story, frankly, because the Prime Minister's office and the political operation did not competently manage it.
Okay, you say manage, but did they know it was coming?
Yeah, I believe they did. I think there was suggestions that this was unfolding over the course of the last number of weeks.
Got it. All right, let's talk about.
But sorry, let me just say, but your question is triggered by the original Toronto Star report, which suggested that the Prime Minister's chief of staff was quote unquote blindsided, which speaks to my point, which is they should never have allowed themselves to be put in that position. They knew that this story was being written. They should have issued a statement and managed it. Instead, they didn't. And so you get these headlines of blindsided and he wants to quit because he doesn't think the Prime Minister can win and so on and so forth. Just take control of these things.
Do you think that they were perhaps had their hands full with what happened yesterday with Jagmeet Singh? Maybe they weren't prepared for the timing of that, knew it was coming, but not when. And so that's why they got caught off guard?
It doesn't matter. You got to play the cards you're dealt. You got to manage the problem that's in front of you. And this is not that complicated. I mean, ultimately, Jeremy Broadhurst issued this statement. I'm loyal to the Prime Minister and I'm faithful to the cause and I'm happy to contribute what I can. But at this point in this stage, it's not the right thing for me, blah, blah, blah. That generic statement could have been issued yesterday. They made a decision to not issue it. And that's what's puzzling.
Okay, so also, what is your take on the NDP leader's decision to rip up the deal that he has and possibly trigger an election sooner than later?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's a vast difference between the video that came out yesterday and dramatic, sort of House of Games tones from, Game of Thrones tones from Jagmeet Singh as compared to today, because today what he's saying is what everybody says in a minority parliament. Well, we'll manage file by file, issue by issue, and if I can secure gains that I think make sense, then I'll support the government. If I can't, I won't. Yesterday he said the government doesn't deserve another chance. They'll always fold to the forces of greed and corruption. So there's a real suck and blow going on here with the NDP leader, and he thinks this is going to benefit him politically. He's going to be able to separate himself from the government. I'm very skeptical that it will work.
Scott Reid, got to leave it there, sir. But good to see you. Thanks.
It is the most unfortunate thing that is happening here is that everyone gets to leave Justin Trudeau except us. You've had Liberal members have completely jumped ship, right? They say, I can't be a part of this. It's too toxic. Sure. You have NDP members saying the exact same thing. You have Justin Trudeau's personal life has shattered. And look, we made videos about that, but we're not going to add too much emphasis on that right now. We're going to focus on the policies. People are disagreeing with Justin Trudeau, even within his remaining caucus. And now you have his campaign manager is leaving. And you heard in the first few seconds that how important is this guy? Well, he's very, very important. So now you're going to see either a bunch of rebranding, a whole new shift. No matter how you look at it, it's not looking good for Justin Trudeau, especially when Pierre Poilievre gets to go on the news and he uses that opportunity to absolutely shit on Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh and issues these kind of subliminal threats. Let's take a look at this here. Nothing is obviously illegal. It's all political threats, right?
Facing some political uncertainty after the NDP ended its deal with the Trudeau Liberals. For more on this, we're joined by federal Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre. Mr. Poilievre, good afternoon. Thank you for taking time to speak with us. Let's start with this.
Good to be with you.
Look, the wheels are in motion locally. We've seen Toronto St. Paul's flip. Are you ready for an early election and becoming Prime Minister?
Yes, we need a carbon tax election. after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals, everything costs more. 2 million people line up at food banks. 1 in 10 Torontonians are relying on food banks right now. The cost of housing has more than doubled to the point where 2/3 of young people believe they'll never be able to own a home. This was not the case before Trudeau. Crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder are rampant in our once safe streets. And now Trudeau and the NDP want to jack the carbon tax up by 300%, all the way to 61 cents a liter, which will grind our economy to a halt. But the good news is that common sense conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. But we need a carbon tax election to get there, and that's what we'll be pushing for in the fall.
Okay, along those lines, Mr. Poilievre, you continually push for the end of this carbon tax. I'd like for you to elaborate on some of the other issues on your platform that you say will save Canadians money. I'd like some concrete examples, please.
Sure, build the homes. As you know, after 9 years of Trudeau, housing costs have doubled, and Canada now has the most expensive housing in all of the G7. And why is that? The reason is that we have the fewest homes per capita. And that's a little strange given that we have by far the most land to build on. What's the obstacle? It is government gatekeepers that block building permits and tax home building. So I will require local governments speed up permits, free up land, cut taxes and bureaucracy to build 15% more homes per year as a condition of getting their federal funding. Cities that beat my target will get a building bonus. The municipal government will get more money if its bureaucrats are quickly and affordably approving more home building. I'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings, thousands of acres of federal land to build. We'll back the trades because we need boots and not suits to build the homes. There should be hope, because when I was housing minister, the average rent in Canada was only about $950 for a one-bedroom, or about $1,100 for a two-bedroom. So I've proven that we can make housing affordable, and that's what I'm going to do when I'm prime minister.
I'd like to talk about crime and safety. Look, over this past weekend, we had...
I gotta say, there's a massive difference between Pierre Poilievre and when Jagmeet Singh answers, or even Justin Trudeau. And without getting into too much to, kind of keep the video as short as I possibly can, because we are approaching the 30-minute mark here, Pierre answers very directly. He addresses things head on, and it's always in a, I don't want to say believable way, like I'm being tricked, but it's worth following. He makes you want to follow and support his policies and the direction in which the Conservatives want to take this country. And that's refreshing, because Justin Trudeau is not a followable leader. Either is Jagmeet Singh.
11 shootings in this city, 3 of which were fatal. 1 was only 15 years old. And, when it comes to a lot of the recent shootings, the suspects have been teenagers. What is your plan to restore safety, not only here, but around the country?
Yeah, this is another new problem we didn't have before Trudeau. Gun crime, violent gun crime, is up 120% after 9 years of Justin Trudeau. The problem is that he keeps releasing repeat violent offenders onto the streets on automatic bail, parole, and house arrest through bills like C-75, C-83, and C-5. The worst criminals can get released automatically. Here in BC, Vancouver, give you an incredible fact. They had to arrest the same 40 offenders 6,000 times in 1 year because they keep getting released on automatic Liberal bail. I will repeal catch and release, and I'll bring in a new law that says that rampant career criminals are ineligible for bail, parole, probation, or house arrest. Second is we're going to secure the borders, because 99% of the shipping containers that come in are uninspected, And that's where 85% of the guns that do crime come from. It's not Canadian gun owners who are very much law-abiding. They have to go through a lot of screening and testing and training. It's not gun owners that are doing this. It's gun criminals who are smuggling in illegal foreign arms. So I want to scan every shipping container at our 4 biggest ports, bolster our our fight against international crime syndicates that bring the drugs and guns in, and we'll pay for it by canceling this ridiculous gun grab that Trudeau is promising, where he wants to confiscate hunting rifles. It's not Grandpa Joe's hunting rifle that's causing the problem. It's gangsters and gun criminals. Let's block them at the border and lock them up in prison.
And I have to ask, so yesterday you issued a challenge to Jagmeet Singh to vote for a carbon tax election, and with all due respect, you call him sellout, saying you mispronounce his name. How's that going to get him on your side?
Well, I'm not trying to get him on my side. He's on Justin Trudeau's side. I'm on the side of the people. He has sold out Canadians. He signed on to a costly coalition with Trudeau that doubled housing costs, taxed your food, punished your work, unleashed crime and chaos in our communities. He did that by breaking the promise he made that he was going to be a voice for workers. So he did sell out. And what I'm saying is, stand up for the people who voted for you, vote for a carbon tax election so that Canadians can choose a common sense conservative government that will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. So we can again have a country where hard work earns a powerful paycheck that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods.
And as we wrap up, we just spoke with Mr. Singh a few minutes ago. I left an open-ended question for him at the end. I'm going to do the same for you. But I'd like to hear something that we've not heard you say before or really hit home. What is that?
Something that you've never heard me say before?
Right, throughout this process.
Yeah, I think one of the things we need to do is get more of our immigrant doctors and nurses working in the system. We have 20,000 immigrant doctors, 32,000 immigrant nurses that can't work because they can't get a license even when they're highly qualified. So what I'm proposing is that we do in the professions what we did in the trades 72 years ago, which is to create a national licensing test so that newcomers to Canada can take the test, prove they're qualified, and we can get more doctors, nurses, engineers, and other highly qualified immigrant professionals earning powerful paychecks and relieving those terrible wait times in our hospitals.
Okay, Federal Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre, thank you very much for taking time to speak with us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. Even though it's over Skype, you promise next time you'll be here live in studio, okay? Holding you to it.
I can't wait to see you in person for a coffee. Thanks very much.
Very well carried in that interview. He done a fantastic job, and he's going after all the right things. It's so freaking annoying that the Liberals and the NDP are saying guns are bad. Oh my God, we need to punish every law-abiding gun owner in Canada. Gun crime committed in Canada by law-abiding gun owners, I think it amounts to less than 1%, less than 0.5%. It's so small and so rare because in order to get your firearms license and to purchase firearms, you have to go through an immense amount of paperwork, of tests, of background checks that happen daily, like every day. It's going through the system. Boom. John Smith, how's he doing? He got a parking ticket. Okay, we now know about it. Boom. John Smith, how's he doing today? Okay, great. It's constantly feeding into what's happening every single day. That's why people don't commit crimes with law-abiding gun owners in Canada. So going after those people, it's so inappropriate. It's so wrong. And you're misrepresenting every single individual that has gone through this immense, scrutinizing process. And it's labeling things inappropriately. One could even argue it's mis and disinformation. That's right. I'm using their words against them. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're going to end this video. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about any of the topics that were covered. And of course, on your way out, I would like to encourage you guys one last time to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. And I hope you turn on the little bell notification on so you can be notified of upcoming videos. And we will see you in the next one. Happy Friday. Bye for now.